Welcome back. I'm Barry Craig. Juvenile diabetes, also called type 1 diabetes, affects millions of Americans, including many in Kentucky. There is ongoing research to find a cure, but like all research, it is very expensive, and money for that research is raised in various ways. With me today are two McCracken Countyans who have a personal stake in research. They are Rhonda Cartwright and her daughter Emily Cartwright, who is in middle school at Heath Middle School. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell us about the activity that's coming up. I believe it is a walk for diabetes.
We are having a Four Rivers Walk to Cure Diabetes. It's going to be held on April the 16th at Noble Park. Registration will begin about 1 o'clock, but the walk will start at 2:30. And we'd love for everybody to come out and join us. We're going to have lots of entertainment. Bands will be there. Lunch will be provided for everyone. There will be vendors. Lots of entertainment for the kids. It should be a fun family event.
Excellent. We were talking before the program. There is a difference between type 1 or juvenile diabetes and type 2 adult onset. And as I was saying, Kentucky, unfortunately, is in the top 10 in terms of adult onset. I suppose it's our sedentary lifestyle. We sit on the couch too much, we drink too much, we smoke too much, we don't eat too much greasy foods. What is the difference between juvenile type 1 and adult onset type 2?
They really and truly, there are very few similarities between the two diseases other than the fact that they both have the same name. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease, and what happens, for example, with Emily, her body attacked her pancreas for some reason, and researchers don't know why, but her body attacked the islet cells in her pancreas, which caused her pancreas to no longer produce insulin at all. So she's insulin dependent for life, and for the rest of her life, until we find a cure for the disease, she'll have to take insulin by injection every day, many times a day. Every time she eats, she has to do that. Type 2 diabetes is a completely different situation. The pancreas still produces insulin in a person with type 2. It's caused by something completely different. It's not autoimmune. In most cases, or in a lot of cases, what's happening is the pancreas still produces insulin, but there's just not enough insulin for the entire body. And so it could be from a sluggish pancreas, it could be a genetic factor. Type 2 diabetes, there's a strong hereditary factor involved. Type 1, there's not, although sometimes you'll find a strong link in some families. For example, in ours, there's no other diabetes in the family at all. So, but type 2 diabetics are able to take pills for the most part to control their diabetes. They can also change their lifestyle, change their eating habits, add exercise, and in some cases they're able to completely get rid of the disease. Drew Carey is an excellent example of that. Not too long ago, he lost a lot of weight and he no longer takes medication, no longer has type 2 diabetes. Of course, there are people with type 2 diabetes that do eat healthy, and so it doesn't necessarily, you can't necessarily just change your lifestyle and get rid of the disease, but in a lot of cases you can. It's easier to control. With type 1 diabetes, it does not matter what your lifestyle is. You know, there are athletes across the world, triathlon, Ironman Andy, NFL football players. You can't get a lot more exercise and a lot healthier than what they are, and they still come down with the disease.
I remember being a baseball fan that I am in my age, which is 61. There was an all-star player with the Chicago Cubs named Ron Santo. And I don't know if he had juvenile or it was adult onset, but I remember he was very well known. He was active in diabetes awareness.
Absolutely.
So how old were you when you discovered that you had this disease?
Well, I was 6 when I was in first grade. But now that we look back, we could tell that I had symptoms from about the age of 5.
What are the symptoms?
Frequent urination, shakiness, frequent thirst. What else is there?
Everybody's different. Those are kind of the universal symptoms. Frequent weight loss. I know Emily lost about 12 pounds in a week's time, and so we knew something was wrong there. But usually, that's when parents will notice, is when you have the rapid weight loss. And
That's
I do mean
unexplained.
rapid. And in fact, back in the 1800s and early 1900s, they called it the wasting disease, because you just wasted away. It was almost like they melted because they lost weight so quickly.
Do you know what causes that? I mean, to lose weight that rapidly?
The high blood sugar, isn't it?
It is. What happens, and I probably can't explain this exactly, but your body uses, your pancreas uses insulin to process the sugars and the calories that you take in. And so when your blood sugar is high and your pancreas is no longer using that insulin or producing enough insulin to do it effectively, your body is starving. You continue to eat. We noticed there at that last week, she was hungry all the time. She was eating, she was drinking, but the food, the calories were not getting to her body. She was urinating them out. And so that's where you have the frequent urination. So you're essentially starving to death, and you become dehydrated. And so if it's not caught in time, you have what's called ketoacidosis, and you go into a coma and can die from that very quickly.
So once you started having these symptoms, did you then go to your family doctor? Is that how it was discovered?
Well, one day all the symptoms just started adding up, and Mom and Dad decided that it was time to go to the doctor. And, well, not that we hadn't gone to the doctor before, but we went to the doctor for the last time and with my grandparents, and they took me outside of the waiting room and they talked to my mom and dad about how I had diabetes, and they explained what it was. And they told us that we needed to go to Vanderbilt Medical Hospital for Children.
Good school.
To get,
good school and good hospital too. It's a
Absolutely.
teaching hospital, actually. Yes.
Wonderful place.
to get some.
Well, now the test for this, is it a blood test, a urine test, or how do they test you for it?
Well, actually, they're both kinds, but mainly blood. Whenever you go to the doctor and they take a blood sample,
Oh yeah.
that's what they're testing for sometimes.
Well, yeah, in a routine physical, in your blood panel, that's a blood test for that. So
Absolutely.
Vanderbilt is a wonderful research hospital. A lot of the physicians are professors as well. It's an excellent hospital. So you went to Vanderbilt, and
We stayed there for about a week. I was in first grade, and I learned how to take care of myself. My parents talked to a what is it called? Well, they taught me all the things that I needed to eat and my routine.
A dietitian.
What I couldn't eat, like I can't have regular soda or regular maple syrup or things like that, because
that would hurt me, especially maple syrup.
Very sugar-free. It's not quite as
Yeah.
good, but it works.
Well, now people with adult onset, don't they have to limit their sugar as well?
They do. I'm not quite as knowledgeable on that.
So you can't have any sugar at all?
No, I could have it in moderation, but if I have, like, say, a regular Coke and a giant Hershey's bar, I would need to go to the hospital for dehydration. So.
Wow.
Well, and the thing that from the very beginning, she was not allowed to have, everything we eat has sugar in it,
Oh, yeah.
which is the
And
carbohydrates.
sodium.
And so what she does is she has to count her carbohydrates. Any type 1 diabetic, that's what they count their carbohydrates that they eat in a meal. And then
So how do you do that? Do you actually total them up
I do sometimes, but actually.
with a calculator, or how do you do that? Or
Well, when I was little, my parents did it for me, but when you kind of get the hang of it, like I could tell you certain things right now, how many carbs they are per serving.
She has it
So.
all memorized. It's like a little computer up
Wow.
there.
Which really would be good for all of us to know about that stuff. Well, now, when you first were diagnosed, were you frightened?
I was, But then
Well,
again,
it'd be only human to be frightened.
yeah, yes. But I didn't really know what was going on. But I knew that I had diabetes, and I knew that I needed to take shots. But I wasn't really old enough to understand the whole meaning of it or why.
The lifetime implications, I think that's what she didn't understand because she was too young to understand it at that point.
Of course. So your routine, describe for us your daily routine. Going to school, you obviously get up early in the morning, and then what do you do?
Well, I wake up and I check my blood sugar. And
Which is
then,
which
Now
is
you
a
check
finger
that
prick.
with a monitor,
a
like you
glucose
see
meter.
advertised on television. Yeah, okay.
and then I eat breakfast, and I use my insulin. I have to count my carbs.
Well, now what would you have for breakfast typically?
Yogurt, something like that.
Sugar-free yogurt?
No.
Regular yogurt would be okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is a kind of a misconception that she can't have sugar or that type 1 diabetics can't
Right.
have it. They can, it just has to be in moderation, and then they have to match what they've eaten to the insulin. They have to take the right amount of insulin
Right
to match what
ratio.
they've just eaten.
So how do you do that?
Well, I don't know how to answer that.
Trial and error. What we have to do is we have to, from the very beginning, we had to figure out how much insulin she needs per gram of carbohydrates that she eats. And
That sounds complicated.
it is. It is complicated. And the complicated thing is that it changes every day. Or maybe not every day, but just
Every month, every week, we have to change it so often.
Well, now, what lets you know you need to change it? Do you get ill or?
My blood sugar goes high or too low.
So the monitor,
frequently,
the
like
numbers.
like
show
a
you that.
routine every day. We notice that, and then we change it accordingly.
That is a huge hassle. Do you ever get tired of doing it? Do you ever get frustrated and think, I don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah, but well, if you ever stopped doing it, you wouldn't feel well.
Right.
You'd obviously, so it's worth it.
But still for a young person, is there anyone else in your class that has this, that goes through this like you do?
A lot of people actually. I go to a 2-week diabetes camp called TCDC, Tennessee Camp for Diabetic Children.
And where is that?
It is in Chattanooga, Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. And we have so much fun, and I have so many friends from there. We talk all the time. We write letters. We call each other.
Facebook has been good.
I was going to say Facebook, text messaging, emails. What do we do without that?
I can't remember.
So there actually is it's a support group where you all can
Yeah.
go and discuss the hassles, what you do, give each other tips on how to do a better job of this.
Exactly. We have classes there. While we're there, we have they teach us how to count more carbs and how to balance our exercise and our diet, because that's also important when you're type 1 diabetic, to make sure everything levels out. So,
But mainly they have fun. They go
Yeah.
canoeing and horseback riding and just make friends. And I think the important thing is she feels, when she comes home, she feels like a normal kid because she knows so many people that have it.
it's like a home away from home.
But you did ask the question about if she knows other kids. It's amazing how many students we have in McCracken County schools that also have type 1 diabetes. And so she has gotten to know lots of friends. I'm a teacher, and so I've had several students, and so there's kind of a support system there too, even within our own county.
It really helps to have a lot of friends with diabetes, because you can really kind of rant about what's going on with your diabetes,
Right.
compare A1Cs. I do that a lot.
Compare what now?
A1Cs, it's like a blood thing. It, what does it do? It's like an average of your blood sugars.
It's a 3-month average to kind of, when she goes to the doctor, she goes to Vanderbilt every 3 months for a checkup, and they test her blood to see what her A1C is, which gives them a 3-month glance average of what her blood sugar has been during that 3 months. So she and I, we monitor her blood sugar, we make adjustments. The doctors and nurses taught us how to make the adjustments, but they're our support net. We go every 3 months, they take a look at it and they see if they can tweak it, because what we want to do is we want to trick her body into thinking she doesn't have diabetes. We want her insulin to be the same as a non-diabetic person, and for her blood sugars to run in the average range. So that's what that test is for, to give us a glance and let us know how we've been doing. It's kind of like a report card. We get a little nervous before we go sometimes.
I can see that. I certainly can understand that. So when you're out with your friends and they have a big Hershey bar or a big piece of pie or cobbler, and you probably can't, does that bother you?
Well, I've been in situations where that's been the case. My blood sugar was high. I've had ketones I couldn't eat. Sometimes it did, but a lot of times I have good friends and they wouldn't eat it until I could eat it. Or I would just, walk out of the room, or there'd usually be something else going on outside, doing some crafts, girl talking, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm good at avoiding the sugar.
Obviously, you must have an enormous amount of self-discipline, because any routine that we do, you get tired of it, and you finally say, I'm not doing that, at least for a while.
Absolutely.
So what keeps you motivated to do this? Because how old are you?
I am 12.
12 years old. And I can remember when our son was 12, and he didn't always stick to various routines. So what fires you up and motivates you to keep you going?
Actually, I think it's, first of all, I think of my parents, and I think of how much they care about me and how much they want me to be okay for, for the rest of my life, Plus, this is like practice for me. I have to practice to be good at it, and then when I'm good at it, that'll probably be later, like when I go to college, I'll need to be able to do it by myself. And then I think of my doctors, because I love my doctors. I want them to be proud of me. Especially my parents, I want them to be proud of me because I take care of myself and they don't have to worry about me going places. Like, I go to summer parties a lot, and my friends' parents don't even think about it because my parents explain to them, they know what to do, I know what to do, so.
The more responsible she is, the more privileges she has. She's able to go to friends' houses and spend the night, and she went to church on a mission trip last summer, which was very scary for me. But I knew that she could take care of herself, and thank goodness for cell phones. So
yes, they're remarkable.
But if she were not responsible enough to take care of herself, she wouldn't be able to have those privileges, and she knows that too. Yes. So, but diabetes makes you grow up. It made her grow up very quickly.
Yeah,
she went from being a child to a small adult overnight.
Yeah, and of course, big part of the fun of being a child is you get to be irresponsible because your parents take care of that. And obviously, you've learned a lesson. As far as physical activity, you could play sports. You could there's no limitations on that at all.
No limitations. Lots and lots of diabetics that I know play sports like volleyball and soccer,
cheerleaders.
I know a lot of sports playing diabetics.
Well, now, do you give yourself injections?
I actually have a diabetes pump, which it does it for me. There's some insulin in it already, and I have I don't know what it would be called. It's like an IV kind of thing, and it gives me insulin when I need it. I press the buttons, I tell it how much to give me, and it does it for me. So it helps a lot with knowing when to do it, remembering to do it, because it's
The
always
pump
there.
really changed her life, because before the pump, she had to make a decision with every bite. Every time she decided she wanted to eat a snack, if she wanted a snack, I'd say, now Emily, remember, if you eat that, you're going to have to take a shot. Well, obviously she didn't like the shot, so it really became, she couldn't, it was a hassle. She couldn't be normal. She had to think about diabetes all the time.
So the pump, there's a port in your body that hooks up to it, and you hook the pump up and you turn it on.
But she inserts it herself every 2 to 3 days. It's not something that stays in there permanently.
Long times. And you have to change it regularly, or else it might get infected, and that'll cause a whole new set of problems.
Oh, yeah.
I like having the pump because when I had to take shots, everyone noticed that I had to take shots because I had to excuse myself after lunch or that kind of thing. But first thing, even though I had a pump when I was in elementary school, I had to go to the nurse's office because, we're not fully there ready to do it by ourselves. And then when I got in 7th grade, my mom talked to my doctor, and I was approved to be an independent diabetic, where you can do it by yourself. You don't need nurses. Not saying nurses aren't helpful.
Right.
And they're there as a safety net for her. If she has a problem, then we have wonderful, wonderful school nurses that are very helpful. So, but she can be more normal she can be like the other kids and not have to leave after lunch to go get her insulin. She's in the cafeteria just like the rest of the kids are.
I
so.
actually have friends, like a couple days ago, me and my friend were changing into dresses because we were going somewhere, and she was like, "What is that?" She had no clue that I had diabetes at all. So,
And of course, you would like that. You don't want people. You want to be as normal as possible.
not that I don't like people to know that I have
Right.
diabetes, but it's kind of a thing where even though my friends know I have diabetes, it's not an issue.
Right.
We don't. They know that they can ask me questions about it, and I'm not gonna, blow up or care. So.
Your plans, I'm guessing you're going to go to college. Study what?
I want to be an endocrinologist.
Doesn't surprise me. An endocrinologist and specialize in this. As a practitioner, researcher, or exactly?
I haven't decided yet.
Going to go to Vanderbilt Medical School? That's right.
We'd love that.
Go Commodores, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a fantastic school. Getting back to the walk now, tell us a little bit about. Right now, we're okay on time, but let's, for the first time, give a contact number.
Okay. All right.
For the walk.
Anyone who would like to register for the walk, they can go online to jdrf.org.
That's Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
Yes, sir. Or they can call Tara Denham at the JDRF office in Louisville, and her number is 1-866-485-9397.
And that's toll free, I believe. Is it 866?
Yes.
I believe it is.
Yes.
Louisville's 502, I think.
I believe you're right. Also, you don't have to do that. If you would like to just register the day of the walk, you can just come on in at 1 o'clock and we'll get you signed up and get you registered, and you'll be ready to enjoy the festivities and walk with us at 2:30.
Well, the next obvious question is, where is the walk, and how long are you going to walk, and how far?
It is, the walk is at Noble Park.
It's a nice place for a walk.
It is a beautiful place for a walk. It's a beautiful time of the year for a walk also. It is a 3-mile walk. Of course, if you would like to run, you can. If you'd like to walk, you can walk. Because we're going in laps, you can go shorter if you would like. You can also go longer if you would like. So you can kind of make it what you want it to be, but we consider it to be a 3-mile walk.
So bring your tennis shoes.
Bring your tennis shoes, absolutely.
And, hopefully bring some sunscreen.
Absolutely, and that's something else too. We do this rain or shine, and JDRF explained to us that kids, they never get a break from taking their shots, and so we can walk in the rain if we need to. However, last year the city did postpone our walk because it was storming. Of course, lightning would be a completely different issue, but that would be advertised at the time if it were to be postponed.
Now, both of you are going to walk?
Absolutely.
And your dad also?
Yes.
Now, what's his name? You haven't mentioned his name.
Heath Cartwright.
Heath Cartwright.
Yes.
And,
he'll be there, and then her brother and sister, Katie and Noah, will be there. All the family comes out, and
Most of my friends.
a lot of her friends come, and it's just fun. We just enjoy it. She has a good time every year coming up with a team name. This year we are Emily's Sugar Babies. And
what were some of the other names you got? That's a good one. Can you any other names?
Last year, we were the Daydreamers, Dreaming for a Cure.
Very good.
I think that was the first year I actually had a team.
We've used that 2 years.
I've seen a lot of stuff.
Well, you mentioned your siblings. How do they react to this? How old are they first?
My brother is 14 and my sister is 16. Actually, they've pretty much gone through this with me. We completely eliminated all sugary drinks. We don't have anything non-diet in our house.
Of course, that's good for everybody. I mean, it really is.
It's a good change. Let's see. They don't care if we don't have candy. We don't have candy or sugary cookies or desserts.
They notice, though, when they go to friends' houses, that everybody comes home from friends' houses and they'll say, "Mom, we don't have donuts. We don't have," and not to say that we don't ever have those things, but it's a special treat. It's not a daily. It's not a daily occasion for us.
Which is good for everyone, though.
Good for us all.
Now,
that's right.
In all of this, obviously sugar is a big issue, and you keep mentioning soft drinks. Is there a difference in the composition of the sugar you would get, say, in orange juice or apple juice or grape juice than you would get in a Sprite? In other words, can you drink orange juice and apple juice and grape juice and all that healthy stuff?
I can. There is actually, it's like natural sugar, so I think your body absorbs it differently, and so it uses it for you. Otherwise, soda uses it against you because
Right.
it's processed.
Yeah.
Usually, I use those as a cure to make my blood sugar go higher.
When she has an insulin reaction and goes too low, she has to drink or eat something with sugar. So that's usually when she gets her
Apple
juices.
juice.
She loves
Yeah.
apple juice.
Yeah.
So
Which again is healthful. But you know the thing about about soft drinks is when our son was small, we didn't let him have soft drinks until he was about 4 or 5. We went in a restaurant and this waiter said, "Could he have a Coca-Cola?" And I said, "Well, I suppose." And it was like a narcotic. He looked like he went, "Oh, this is so good," you know. And they really are. And I think that's tremendous that you can not drink those things like that.
well, and she, even the things that have the natural sugars in them, she has to be very careful with. And still, everything that she has that she eats with carbohydrates in it, which is everything, she has to match it to her insulin. So
And this is what amazes me, and I really admire you, because to be honest with you, I don't listen to carbohydrate and a manhole cover. I mean, I don't. I don't think about that. I mean, I know what a carbohydrate is, but I couldn't tell you what has it and what doesn't. And that's amazing. And I think, of course, it would behoove all of us if we probably paid more attention to that stuff.
absolutely.
But in your case, it's absolutely critical. And
It is.
So she counts, a lot of people think she counts sugars or pays attention to sugars, but she pays attention to the carbohydrates because the carbohydrates turn to sugar.
I get
in
that a
your
lot,
body.
actually.
now, typically, what foods and drinks would have a lot of carbohydrates in them?
Grains have a lot of carbs in them, like spaghetti would be a very high.
Bread?
Bread would be.
So if it comes from wheat, let's say. Okay.
Usually things like chicken and fish don't have very many carbs. Pickles don't even have any carbs. I love those.
What do vegetables have carbohydrates in them at all?
They are like the middle ground.
Ah.
They have them. Yes.
Okay. And what is the low carb or the no carb? I see those diets, low carb, no carb diet.
Celery would be one.
Mainly,
Don't care for that. But anyway, that's just me.
right, mainly your meats are going to be your low carb. You're going to have a hard time finding fruits. Fruits are high carb. You know, an apple has a lot of carbohydrates in
A
it.
banana has a
interesting.
very lot of
Banana is packed. So she just needs, a person with type 1 diabetes, they need to eat healthy, just like everyone else.
All of us need to.
She just needs to eat healthy, counter carbs, and then give herself a shot.
And I need to call an end to this. We have run out of time.
Okay.
One more time, very quickly, what's the contact number for the
Contact
walk?
number is 1-866-485-9397. You can register online at jdrf.org.
And the walk is
April 16th, Noble Park.
And we all know where that is.
Registration is at 1 o'clock. I'd like to thank Western Baptist Hospital and Lourdes Hospital for lots of things they've done for us. Davis Drugs has been tremendous help, Good Neighbor Pharmacy, Focus Group, and way too many other sponsors to thank on here. But we appreciate everybody's support, and come out and join us.
And we appreciate you coming. I'm Barry Craig. My guests today were Emily Cartwright and her mother Rhonda Cartwright from Heath, Kentucky. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.